If you get the best out of people, you get the best out of your business. And if you don't have the right people, that's not their fault. That's our fault for bringing on those people.
Welcome to Top Rated Gym, the ultimate podcast for gym owners ready to take their business to the next level. Each episode is packed with actionable advice to help you increase revenue, boost retention, and scale your business to new heights. Whether you're just starting out or looking to expand your locations, Top Rated Gym is your trusted resource for growth and success. Let's build stronger, thriving gyms, one episode at a time.
Welcome to Top Rated Gym Podcast. And today we're thrilled to have a Chris Holmberg, the Vice President of Operations at OrangeTheory Fitness, part of Austin Fitness Group. Chris is passionate about leadership, guys, and he's here to share his unique approach to leading with love, a concept he believes is central to not only achieving success, but also creating an environment where teams thrive. With 57 locations under his leadership, Chris' insights are invaluable for everyone looking to elevate their leadership game and create a positive culture within their teams. Chris, welcome to the show.
Hey, I'm happy to be here. This is awesome. So thank you for having me, and excited to talk about leadership.
Hey, last time we spoke, you have some impressive journey. I would love you to spend a couple minutes just telling people how did you become Vice President of Operations, and what are some moments that shaped your leadership approach along the way?
This is a fun one. I started back in 2005. I did a stint with 24-Hour Fitness, and during that explosion of the fitness industry in the mid 2000s, I went over to InShape Health Clubs, where I think I learned the bulk of what was going on with me in my leadership journey. And I had some of critical moments in that. And one of the first moments for me was perception didn't meet reality. And so what I mean by that was the reality in my four walls was I was a relentless leader. I treated people fairly. We had good conversations. We were doing the right things. But perception was that I was brash, I was off-putting, and it was a realization for me that in most cases, you have to have some reality and perception at the same time. And I tried to move that pendulum to meet that. And later on in my journey there, a good friend of mine, his name is Jason Jones, he goes, your biggest strength is that you love people, and your biggest weakness is that you love people. And it just dawned on me, cool, lead with love, right? That's kind of the moniker here. But I realized that I tried to move the pendulum to meet this thing that it just didn't resonate with me. And so I needed to find a really healthy middle ground to where I felt comfortable leading the way I wanted to lead, that was the right way, but also my way. And that meant leading with love in a really healthy manner, meaning I cared about people, I had accountability, but I did it my way. And so InShape taught me a good journey there on how to lead. And then I was afforded an opportunity to come out to Austin, Texas, and work for Austin Fitness Group. And one of the things that attracted me is we love your resume, but we want you to learn the business. And I had spent so much time in big box. I hadn't done any boutique stuff before. And so they asked me to learn the business, and I spent 90 days in the club, or in the studio rather, and I learned the ins and outs. I figured out how to sell memberships here. I figured out how to lead a different workforce. And gradually I got more and more and more, and I kept getting afforded opportunities because I resonated with people so much, and then the results drove that. And then here we are 4 years later. I was, again, afforded another opportunity to lead the operations for Austin Fitness Group under new leadership, and it's been one of the best rides I could have asked for, and I'm truly happy and blessed to be here.
There's a lot to talk about the topic that you're sharing, and I have my version of that, but I want to hear from you, that leading with love.
Yeah.
Would you mind explaining what it really means?
Yeah.
How it helps. Let's break it down a little bit about what do you mean by leading with love?
Yeah. I had somebody's like, hey, if you could paraphrase lead with love, is it this? And I go, no, it's not 1,000 words. It's simply, do you care about people or not? That's what leading with love is. And I say this like an icebreaker. We'll use as icebreaker. It's not all kumbayas. We're not singing around a campfire and cooking s'mores. And it's not that kind of love all the time. It's sometimes critical and tough conversations to grow people. And what I found is leading with love means you care about that person enough to celebrate them for the wins, but also correct them in the lows so that way they don't make the mistakes that are detrimental to their careers. And so leading with love for me just summarized is you either truly care about people or you don't. And if you do, you'll do all the conversations that are necessary, the good and the bad, to get people where they ultimately want to be. And if they get to where they want to be, you will ultimately go to where you want to go. And I think that's the bigger miss there is we don't look at it from both sides of that coin. We just look at it one or the other.
Got it. And I would love to go about examples, right, where that makes a difference. Leading with processes, leading with operations, leading with structure, or leading with human heart. Difference is, I think, in what you're saying is many people choose mind over heart. And they choose logic over emotions. They choose, instructions over empathy and understanding. And today we have a chance to really go make decision from the heart. Because most of the time, that gut, that heart, that right decision sits in the heart, and we overwrite it with the brain. Am I on the right track here?
Yeah, 1,000%. Like we're so rooted in data, and this driving this, and this is driving this, but we forget to go, is there something that we're not privy to? Is there something going on in that person's life? Is there a loss of life? Is there a relationship issue? Is there, whatever the case may be, that's a human aspect that's driving down poor performance. But if you don't have a relationship with the team to know those things, and you don't want to know everything about their life, like that's not what I'm saying. I'm simply knowing enough for them to trust you to go, hey, I got issues right now, I need some help. And that fosters your decision making a little bit better than going, the KPIs say this, but the human portion says this. And we have to be cognizant of that piece too, because that generally drives the performance on the other lever. So absolutely, you can lead with processes, you can lead with systems and your orientations, but at the end of the day, you have to we're in the people business, and we deal with human currency, and you have to treat it as such, which is I deal with people and I want to root solve people and get the best out of them potentially that I can.
I think it's a chain reaction as well, because let's talk about opposite. Leading with fear, right? I know you would laugh about it. Let's pretend for a second you are a slave master, right? Or with a punishment device in your hand. It was like, if you don't do this, you get punished, right? Yeah. And then people will do it because of fear, and then they'll replicate that fear in the second layer of leadership, third layer of leadership. It's like mafia punishment by that. Like, if you don't do it, you're gone. Correct. And that cross-pollinate across everybody around in a negative way. There's a polarity. Now, leading with love is like, instead of these hard force leadership, you go from the heart. It was like, okay, what's the natural state of humans? Before we get poisoned by the environment, when we were kids, we were all but just pure innocent love. We're raised by that. And we reflect on that. When you smile to people, they smile back to you. It's natural reflection, right? Yes. But when you also swear or show the middle finger to the some person, that's what you get back most of the time. And I love this principle for people to understand what means leading with love. Is leading with a pure intentions where people can really feel it, not just understand it. And when they feel it, they react on it.
Correct. I've been through the lead with fear thing, and those are always fun. You don't know what the email is going to say, you don't know what the phone call is going to be about, and I lived through an era of that, and wrong, right, or indifferent, that's how they chose to lead. And I choose to lead a complete different way, because I believe that if you get the best out of people, you get the best out of your business.
100%.
And if you don't have the right people, that's not their fault. That's our fault for bringing on those people.
That's right.
We thought at some point that they were the right fit for us, and then all of a sudden we don't believe they're the right fit for us. And I get it, times change, and the org might change, and systems and processes might change, and that person might not be a fit anymore. But how you go about conducting business in those transitions are just as important as anything else. And I'm fortunate enough to work with an HR partner named Dina, and she believes in a red carpet in and a red carpet out, and I agree with that. And if something's not working, you have to start with you first, us, the entity, the business, and then figure out why, and then decide if that person's the right fit or not, and then do it in a way that's respectful and becoming of how you want people to look at your business.
Yes. And what you said, red carpet in, red carpet out. What that means, my understanding is, you start a relationship with celebrating, introducing people in highest light when they come on, giving them all opportunity and making them excited to fall in love. But also it can be the same way getting out, like graceful separation, where people see you 2 years later on the street and they are happy to come and give you a hug.
Correct.
Grateful for the opportunity and time spent together in that company.
Correct.
And celebrating the same way as they are currently coming in. And that can be done if you do it the right way. And it's all comes from the heart, from the appreciation. We're all on a journey here. Somebody is a stepping stone, somebody is last job, somebody is just career path. But understanding where everybody is, there's absolutely no reason for the hard words or strict rules. I mean, love has its own rules, but we want to make sure that it's impacting from within, if I can say so.
Yeah, agreed. Love in the business place isn't any different from your personal life. You got to build into, you got to nurture it, you got to work at it every day. And same thing in the business aspect. You got to, we'll talk about this a little later, but you got to nurture your team, and you got to figure out one-of-one solutions for them, one-of-one pathings for them that make them feel important, that make them feel valued, and they can grow within that. And I think if you do those things and you have that concept in place and you believe it, it's much of you like it is breathing, like you really truly embody that, then the culture will speak from itself top down and up and back up.
Yeah, I love that. In this example, would you mind sharing some of the results? Like, what do you see as the outcome of your leadership? What does the organization see? What's the result?
I'll give you a great one. This one happened not too long ago, and so we run a leadership meeting here in the Austin area where I talk about just general concepts, like just if we were to say in college we were talking about leadership 101, 102 kind of a scenario here. And we had one of our head coaches. He went through that process. He got reading again because I believe we got to read. Reading is a big one. And he got reading again, and he took it to another hemisphere, and it gave him the ability to open up his own business. And he left us, and no, you don't want to lose good players, but he left for the right reasons. He was inspired, he grew, he felt like he was armed with the opportunities and tools to step on his own and thrive, and his business, for all intents and purposes, is thriving right now. And so that's a real life scenario of saying, like, I care about people enough to where I want them to be able to do whatever they want to do and be successful at it. And I love this phrase. It's a phrase that our CEO uses, and we're being a net exporter of talent. And you have to care about that piece just as much as anything else, because if you can export talent to other places, that's indicative of what your business does on a day-to-day, and you produce leaders. And I said this to you, is if you want to be anything, leaders have to make other leaders. And that's how you do it. You do it that way, by caring.
I love that. And for somebody listening to this, they might say, there's a lot of challenges in this approach. First of all, how do you manage your state so you're all in a good state?
Yeah.
Right? We all have fires to turn. We all have problems to solve. And then you got to be in a state of appreciation or gratitude or love in order to lead that way. Second is, even if you are, others are not. So how do you transfer that the proper way? And then the third one, biggest one, is, man, there's 57 locations. There's hundreds of people inside. How do you make sure that it goes beyond your touch? Because you don't touch everybody.
So I guess one of the things I would say firstly is, like, when you look at leadership, from my perspective, my belief is, I look at leadership, I look at like a forest. And what that means to me is, like, I was a branch off of someone's leadership tree at some point. I learned from someone, I had a mentor, and eventually what happens is that branch grows, it grows leaves, it grows flowers, it pollinates, it falls, it cuts off, and it grows and blossoms into its own tree. But each tree is uniquely different. And so what I mean by that is that when you have your core belief, your core concept, mine's lead with love, and when we go through that group together with my direct leadership team, I will go through what our game plan is, talk about how we want to execute it, but then you have to trust and allow them to execute it to their leadership style. Like, you brought these people on because they brought A, B, or C to you, or maybe all three. but A, B, or C, and you have to let them to work through that channel that makes them really good to execute the mission. And so if they believe in the same things you believe, it just looks a little different, that's okay. At the heart of it, everybody on my team cares about people. They question, is this the right decision? They question, is a performance improvement plan the right thing? They question, is this person the right person for the role? They question all those things and go and look at it from an empathetic standpoint because they care about what that person's going to do versus looking at the business. Like I said earlier, is you take care of people, you'll take care of the business. And so for me, to summarize, I find what I'm looking for on my core team that makes them what they are and allow them the freedom and the empowerment to execute the game plan, knowing that we're grounded in empathy and love and the right thing for people.
You know what? And it's also pre-framing and priming of the people. There's a numerous researches done when they split a group of kids into equal random choices. And they told one group, you're chosen, you're talented, you're creative, you're best of the best, that's why you're part of this group. Another group, they tell opposite. Sorry, they're chosen. Right, they're the best. You're kind of second graded. And they give them a bunch of different tests. And that first primed group overperformed second group by mile. And there's another research. People were just subconsciously exposed, for example, two logos, Microsoft and Apple, right? Two rooms, two in that equally creative groups. One was with the logos of Apple around, another one with the logos of Microsoft. And tasks were creative. Just because think differently, a logo of Apple and reminders about creativity overperform other group in the creativity. This priming of the brain that we don't know even impacts, it makes such a huge difference in outcome. Starting to say, I care about you, that's what they learn. That means they'll repeat, I care about you to their co-workers. When it comes to shift changes, when it comes to challenges, when it comes to communication, helping each other. And then at the end, the members feels, I care about you. I'm
Right.
here for you. I got you. I got your back. Don't worry about it. Right?
You said something, and I want to circle back to it real quickly, which was like, what about the team members that don't? Like, what about the group that doesn't want to do that? And so what I would say to you is this: when you get the team you're looking for, whether you inherit and you figure out this is the team we're going to move forward with, or you bring on some new people and you kind of have a hodgepodge of team members that have been there and new teamers, whatever the case may be. Once you start to move forward in the direction you're trying to go, you will start to see a separation of people that want to be or not be here. And the ones that are resistant, you do your work to figure out why, but if that's not the team that you move forward with, you don't move forward with them. They'll naturally separate themselves from the rest of the pack. And then what you have is those team members start to just kind of naturally fade away, and you bring on people that are just like the group that you want, then the whole organization's that same way. And so it'll naturally sort itself out when you start to fixate on the right behaviors. And one of the things, I think of two things, is one is the speed of the leader. And the person that you bring in, they move the needle. The group is only going to move as good as that leader is going to move. That's one piece. And I tie that back to the book, Make Your Bed. And he talks about, Admiral McCraven talks about two different boat crews. And one boat crew is doing fantastic and the other boat crew is not. They swap leaders. The leader from the good boat crew goes to the crappy boat crew, and then they start to whoop on everybody. And the group that was doing good, the poor leader, that is at the bottom of the pack. And it's the speed of the leader that does it. And so if you're allowing team members to not be a part of your mission, your vision, your values, if you allow team members, and mind you, I'm saying if you allow, because that is a you thing, not a them thing, you allow those things to happen, then the speed is not going to be as much as you'd like it to be or as fast as you want it to be, or in the right direction. And so it's critical to talk about the team members don't fit your forward pathing.
Yeah, and I love what you say is they eliminate themselves. Around Saturn, there's a bunch of cloud of rocks. But interestingly, they all circulate in the same direction. It says, like, how is that possible from the big boom? Yep. Because they eliminated others who were rotating otherwise. From the time, it's always alignment, guys. And one thing that really made me think about this topic, you see, there was a YouTube video about a professor coming in front of the classroom and saying, how do you measure how temperature? Can you measure how cold is something? Right? You can't. There's no measurement for cold. There's only for temperature, that's plus, like how warm something is. And then how can you measure darkness? Is there a way to measure how dark something is? There's no way. There's only light, lumens, right? And then when you think about how do you measure what's the opposite of anger, frustration, bad emotions, right? So absence of temperature is cold. Absence of light is darkness. Absence of love is anger and frustrations. So there's no such a thing as negative love. It's just absence of it. And when you see a situation, and I use this example every time I have to solve the conflict, something that brings anger, some conflict that I have to solve, when there is a tense of energy coming in, and when I know the darkness is something I gotta fight, either problems or fires or something that you need to solve, you just think about, whoa, this is a dark place, I need to walk in and solve it. And the easiest way to kill the darkness is with a little light. Even the tiniest source of light kills any darkness. The stronger the dark, the bigger light bulb you gotta bring. The stronger the problem, the bigger source of care you need to bring. Appreciation, the joy, going around it. And that's what solution for you guys thinking about it. Like, whoa, how do I solve really tough problems? Just go shut down your brain and go from the heart and thinking what's the really behind it. Nobody is intent to hurt anybody without any reason. There is something behind it. And if you solve that from the center of the emotions, I think we are in a good shape.
Yeah. There's such a negative connotation around like conflict. And, it's interesting to me because you're flight or flight, right? You have your natural state of what your body does. And in most cases, when it comes to difficult conversation, I think people tend to want to run. And it boggles my mind because at the end of the day, those conversations are the shaping of what you're going to do and how you're going to move forward. And so, to your point, the absence of love, if you're doing things and you lead with love, kind of circling back to what I said at the beginning, is like if you care about people and you really truly believe that you care about the people and you show it in your words and your actions, then those aren't difficult conversations. Those get rights are momentum changers. They're getting someone off of the runway and putting them back on the runway so they can take off and go do what they were supposed to do and what they can be capable of doing. And so that perspective change, I think that shift is critical for us to go, it's not conflict, it's not negative, this is positive, it's got to happen to get us back on the trajectory that we'd like to be on together.
So give us some example. Let's be playful, like some examples where you really utilized your style and maybe surprise them, surprise somebody else, maybe you yourself, maybe turn around situation.
There's without being like specific, saying names or anything of that nature.
Sure, please.
I have, we had one maybe a few months ago. It was a difficult conversation, really was. And this person, I think, has a long runway. They have a really large lid. I think they're capable of doing things, and they just made some bad errors in judgment. And those errors in judgments lead to like a conversation that's kind of like, it's not a cool topic. It's not something you really want to have. But the reality is those talking points were detrimental to the career. Like, in fact, you could probably talk about removing them from the organization as a result of some of the things that were being talked about. And if you shy away from that and you let it be repetitive, it's going to cost a job. And for me, understanding the relationship I have with them, understanding that I care about who they are as a person, I care about their family, I'm not going to not have that conversation. We're going to have a get right. And we're going to have this can't happen again. It's not going to happen again. And that conversation went about as swimmingly as it could go given the situation, because that person understood that where I was coming from was care and trust, and they took it as trust, and it was a healthy dialogue. And that person, obviously now they have no issues, they were good to go. It's one of those things where though you can have those things with people and it not be detrimental to what you think it's going to be, and it be positive and lasting, impactful. And so that's one real scenario where you're having a difficult talk and turning it around as a momentum booster for them, and they're succeeding, but you just had to have the conversation.
What I like about that is almost reframing. All of this is coming with the best intention. All of this is coming from the best heart, and we want to both best outcome. And it's how you start conversation. If you started with the judgment, you get judgment. If you started priming with a good intent, caring from the heart, it's a totally different game. I like that a lot. Okay, so going about scaling to 57 locations in your leadership, what challenges did you find in that sense?
The first one is like, are you believable? I think that's the first thing you think about. Like, is my mission, vision, like who I am as a person, as a leader, am I believable in what I'm trying to carry out for the team, for the business? And that's the first thing I think you run into. But the second piece is, if you don't have the right team, they're not going to execute your vision. And your vision is a vision of the CEOs, or if you're the owner, your next layer down. Like, it's all a vision of the vision and how you're going to execute the game plans. And so for me, it was, do we have the right team in place? Do I have the right people in the right spots executing the right game plans? And then, like I said earlier, if I trust that their perspective, their mission, vision, personal leadership is aligned with mine, then I know that that's going to be executed in a manner in which I'd be proud of. And the secondary pieces, though, but I'm also going to just kind of check up on that a little bit. I'm going to trust but verify. I got to make sure. And that doesn't look like a, hey, Mike, you're not doing your job. What's going on here? That's me coming back, and we can go, hey, Mike, how was that? Like, what did you learn from that? And it's me asking questions. I'm seeking something, and I'm phrasing it in a question so it's not off-putting. And then the hope is that it's transparent response. Either A, I didn't do it, or I messed that up, or I learned this from it, and you have a healthy conversation. But when I go to verify, I don't verify by blowing up. I verify by just seeking and asking questions. I think that's an important dynamic there too.
I love that. Now I want to ask on behalf of the audience, it seems like you're natural like that. This is your character. This is the way you are, I would say, born. Or is this a skill that you learn along the way? And if yes, what would you recommend as a resource for learning? How can people become more in that shape?
Part of this was, I think, a natural attribute. I grew up playing a conflict sport. I'm a big fan of football. It's a conflict sport. You have to seek out conflict, means you got to go hit people, right, to stop them from scoring. So it's a natural there for me. But one of the things that always resonated me with was, hard work beats talent until talent works hard, and then you're screwed. And that always thought me, is like, okay, I naturally think I have this attribute. I think I care about people enough where it resonates. But then I started working with that, and I started utilizing that, reading, gaining thought partners, seeking solutions, and trying to ingrain myself with as much information as possible to make this come to life. And that's what happened. So I took a little bit of a natural attribute, and then I worked my ass off in it to make it to where it is now. And I think that's the piece that I would lean into, is like, I think you can learn anything. No one's stopping you from learning anything. The only thing that stops you from learning is you. But if you have a natural itch for something, and then you mirror that with learning, you're unstoppable. You'll be unstoppable.
Whoa. This gives a justification to all other people now thinking like, I knew I was right? And they just need to go with it. I love the sentence you said. I'm going to quote Chris. Hard work beats talent until talents work hard. Right? Then you're screwed. It's such a brilliant way to say it. Like, we all have it within us. Let's just embrace it and go all out on that product. We all can change the way we lead. And yes, you don't become a leader until you create one. That's another great one you said.
Yeah.
So, is there any book you would recommend? Resource, seminar, conference, mentor?
Yeah, this is part of it. It's a good one. I got two. I think there's two, like, for me, foundational books, and the first one is the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John C. Maxwell. And one of my favorite laws, and that's the law of the lid. And essentially what I mean is I've heard like depth and breadth before. I've heard bandwidth, but lid. And is that person's lid, like, is it a good fit for them right now? Meaning, are they doing the job that they can do? Or is that lid a little too big, meaning you can expand them? Or is it too small, which is they're kind of, you're stretching them thin. You might want to pull back. And those concepts and that, I think, allow for young leaders or newer operators, even seasoned operators, to reflect on, because at certain parts in your journey, you reflect with different laws. One of the things I've always resonated to is the law of legacy. And like, how do I want to be remembered from my kids? Is it work ethic, is being a great dad, whatever the case may be? Like, that one's always resonated with me. And so it allows you to figure out different points in your career journey or your leadership journey on things that will just kind of sit there and go, I didn't look at it from that way. The second book is The 5 Dysfunctions of the Team by Patrick Lencioni. And for me, what I believe that fable to be is a ability to show you that you have to have really trusting conversations rooted in healthy, argumentative conversations. And we can have a conversation and disagree, knowing that neither end of that conversation, there's no malintent. It's not to wish you harm. It's just we simply don't agree, but we trust each other to have a disagreement, to work out a solution. Because ultimately, all we care about is the solution, not the problem. And I believe those 2 books allow you the foundation pieces to do that. And go ahead.
No, please.
The last one is something that I'm a big fan of, and you got to have thought partners. You have to go out and talk to other people, whether it be in your vertical of the business, if you're in boutique, if you're in big box, mid box, whatever, if you're in the recovery space, if you're in the health and wellness piece, and whatever it is, you have to have thought partners to bounce ideas off of, talk about trials and tribulations, throw ideas at the wall and go, what would you do if you were me and this was an idea? Like, how would you execute it in your business? Poke holes in what I'm saying. Like, this is my concept. Like, what am I missing? And it allows you different perspectives, and it allows you to look at something holistically versus just from your viewpoint. And I think if you can do that, then again, you match that with the willing to learn and being relentless about it, you're unstoppable when you start to do those things.
I love that. I read both books. Definitely John Maxwell have a couple books about leadership and describes 5 levels of leadership and why most disrespectful leaders are leaders that are positioned as a title leaders, that people have to listen to them because they are their bosses, versus those leaders that are created and just chosen because of performance, because of who they are, and because of how they lead. And incredible knowledge can be acquired and practical tips by taking this on. I love it. Chris, this was incredible. And I got a question before we wrap up. You see, you're a gift to this community. We need more people like you. And for us to extend the reach, we want to ask people like yourself for 2 people recommendation. Who would you recommend here to come on a podcast and speak and share their wisdom? Maybe somebody you know directly, somebody who impacted your business, or you know them as a good contributor, or somebody you don't know and you want me to interview so you can learn from.
Cool. Fun questions. It's a fun question. The first person I would encourage you to listen to is Ben Camper. He's our CEO. I think Ben brings a unique balance of strategy and people orientation, and allows us to do the things we're doing. And we're seeing success because the things that I believe in, Ben believes in, and there's alignment there. And so I would encourage that. The second person that I would talk to or have you interview was he's been one of my friends for a long time. He's also was a mentor to me. His name's Jason Jones, and he's a Marine veteran. He spent a bulk of his time at 24 Fitness. He spent time at InShape Health Clubs with me too. I directly reported to him at one point. He was the one that told me, your Achilles heel is you love people, but you love people. It's a double-edged sword there. But he's also the person that had get rights with me. Like, hey, this stinks, or hey, your face stinks, or whatever the case is. Like, he knew I was going to take him the right way, and he challenged me. But he said, if you're going to do this or you want to do this and you're going to do it, I will have your back at every moment of it. And for that, I'm forever grateful of. So I would love for you to talk about, get Jason on, talk about experiences.
That's incredible. Definitely we'll get in touch with them to bring them on the podcast and share this vision and mission even further with the community. And I know people are listening now, and our audience is from people who are employee and want a growth career within a fitness space, or managers, leaders, executives, C-level executives, and the founders. Like, we want to serve this fitness community. And we know that they're listening now, and some of them are saying, yeah, I would love to participate in a community where people are encouraged by good things, right? When they're supported, where great ideas are encouraged, where environment is positive. Today we are lacking that so much. It's so easier to lead with a fear. That's why media figured out all the time. They want news. You don't see good news, sharing good information. It's all about what bad happens in the world around us to get attention. It's rare to find somebody who's openly like you speaking about pure leading with heart and with the right intent, caring.
I want to say this, and I don't mean it this way. So I'm going to say this because I'm true to who I am. I'm an authentic person that way. I'm going to say this because this is how I believe in leading people, but I don't mean it this way. So I prefaced all this by saying, I don't give a shit about the members. I give a shit about the team, because the team impacts the members, and the members drive your top and bottom line rev. And so if you change this perspective and go, from my seat, I have to care about what the team is doing and how do we help them be successful, because at the end of the day, I don't impact the members that way, they do. And so when I can shift my focus to giving a crap about team members and not so much about that next layer, they'll do that work for us naturally, and we'll see better successes as a result.
Honestly, that sentence almost fits in a Referizer mission statement. People first company. We create teams that works together so they can deliver exceptional service and outstanding quality. It's all what you get is what you give out. It always was. And to wrap up, Chris, this was incredible. I want to ask you, on behalf of audience, how can people find more information about you, OrangeTheory, connect with you, or maybe in some kind of shape and form partner up?
Yeah, I don't have a cool podcast like this to plug, and so I'm really appreciative to spend the last 45 minutes with you. This is fantastic, so thank you again. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn. You find me on LinkedIn. My name's Chris Holmberg. Send me a DM. I want to be thought partners with whoever. If you want to grab a virtual coffee, if you want to get something on a calendar and start to talk about the business or how to do this or how to do that, and you're cool with me throwing ideas and using you as a thought partner as well, then I want to hear from you.
Absolutely. And you guys know what to do. Since this is streaming live, it's going to be also uploaded to all social media, but whenever you are watching or listening, either Spotify, YouTube, or any podcast channel, make sure you send this to your team. Let's cross-pollinate this message. Let's spread the right way of leadership. And what we give is what we get. Don't forget to click like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. And Chris, I want to thank you for participating here. Your words are words of wisdom, and we need more people like you. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Signing off, guys. See you next time. If you are a gym owner looking to become a top-rated gym in your area, visit topratedgym.com and grab our free 30-day reputation boost. That's topratedgym.com. I'll add it to the show notes for you. Don't forget to share this with your friends. Stay strong, stay motivated, and keep pushing your gym to the top. Until next time, this is Andre signing off.